The long-awaited adaptation of Alan Moore's graphic novel, Batman the Killing Joke, has finally arrived. I saw this movie yesterday night at a Fathom Events screening. Packed theater, tons of Batman fans there. It was really cool. If you know anything about Batman the Killing Joke, you know that it is Batman and the Joker, and a confrontation between the two where the Joker wants to prove to Batman that any average person can go insane, just like he has. So there was a humongous amount of anticipation for this movie. For one, Mark Hamill has returned to voice the Joker, Kevin Conroy has returned to voice Batman, and it's the first DC animated film to ever receive a rated R rating. It's also one of the most beloved graphic novels of all time. The Killing Joke is humongously popular. I love it. I've read it multiple times. I've read Batman comics most of my whole life, and so whenever an adaptation like this comes along, there's also part of me that's very reserved and afraid because it's so beloved and it's so anticipated that it's difficult to live up to said hype. In this case, there are aspects of this movie that I enjoyed and aspects that I really didn't enjoy, and a few things that really confused me. Choices that were made that just didn't make sense to me. And don't worry, if you've never read the graphic novel, I won't spoil anything for you. It is a quick read though, I recommend it. It's very, very, very good. Alan Moore, you know him, V for Vendetta. This guy's talented, check it out sometime. Things I liked. Obviously, Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy are fantastic with their voice work. I love Tara Strong, the voice of Batgirl. They are so very talented at what they do, and they just feel so iconic every time you see these animated characters and those voices coming out of it. That was obviously a joy to hear and see. There were a lot of scenes that are directly from the graphic novel, scenes that are 100% word for word from the graphic novel, and the panels very well recreated in this film. Those scenes were very suspenseful, very tense, and very well done. And all of those scenes that are directly from the graphic novel, that are clearly inspired by said graphic novel, are fantastic and are great recreations of those events. Now, I understand that whenever you're adapting something, whether it be a book or a TV series or a comic book, there are going to be changes. Certain things are going to be in the source material that you just can't put in the movie because of time constraints or something else. And this doesn't bother me. I understand that when you adapt something, certain changes have to be made. When you see my upcoming Harry Potter reviews, you're going to understand that that's not something that bothers me. But I do have a bit of a guideline that I like to follow, and that guideline is that if you're going to change something, at least improve it. And in this case, there is an entire first act added of about 30 minutes of Batman and Batgirl chasing down criminals, and this one crime boss has a fetish for Batgirl and is after her, and there's a lot of time dedicated to this. An absurd amount of time. So much time, in fact, that I was beginning to think that they were Gareth Edwardsing Batman. If you've ever seen the new Godzilla film, which I do like, you know that Godzilla really isn't in that movie too much, and every time he's about to do something cool, they pan away or they go to a next scene. They do that a lot in the first act of this movie with Batman to focus on Batgirl. And I understand, again, no spoilers, if you've never read the graphic novel, that they were trying to flesh out her character, to make you feel more attached to her for this movie, to make her a little more emotionally developed than she is in the novel. Unfortunately, the way they go about it, I just didn't think it added much to this movie, and in the long run, I don't know if someone's made this joke yet, but this movie kind of felt like Batgirl, the Killing Joke. I mean, it even opens with Batgirl actually narrating to the audience, "I know this is not the beginning you thought you were going to see." I was like, no, it's definitely not. You're right. I mean, you can actually see the part in the movie where it becomes the movie you wanted to see, where it fades out after that first act and fades into the first few panels of the Killing Joke. And you're like, okay, this is the movie I wanted to see. Why didn't this happen at the beginning? I don't know. There's certain things in this movie that just didn't have to be there in regards to adding and putting things in and all these little side scenes that just felt like they were trying to elongate something when they didn't really have to. I mean, if you want to make a Killing Joke animated film and make it be 45 minutes and just have it be really tight, suspenseful, and contained, make it 45 minutes. You don't have to add an extra 30 minutes of Batgirl and Batman swinging around the city that has absolutely nothing to do with the Killing Joke. Quite literally nothing. It is just there to flesh out the character of Barbara Gordon. But my biggest issue with this movie is kind of a gray area because this was originally supposed to be straight to Blu-ray and DVD. And so the animation is very much so straight to Blu-ray and DVD quality. Seeing it in a giant Cinemark XD screen last night did not do much for the animation in this movie. There are certain scenes that are very well animated, and then there are some that are truly awful. What I don't understand is when movies like Akira and Ghost in the Shell that came out 20 years ago that maybe admittedly had bigger budgets, have such better, beautiful, hand-drawn animation than this. It's unclear to me as to why that happened, because this is such a beloved graphic novel. It got a theatrical release because of its popularity. You got Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy. Mark Hamill's huge right now because of Star Wars Episode 7 and Star Wars Episode 8. They should have gotten a much better budget and much better animation for this movie. But in the end, the voice work and the aspects of this movie that directly tributed and honored said graphic novel were the best parts of this movie. I would love to say that the additions and the changes actually added something, but they unfortunately did not for me. It didn't really give much extra emotion, and it just felt like tacked on scenes. I'm gonna give Batman the Killing Joke a C+. In my humble opinion, there is no reason this should have been any less than really good when you have Mark Hamill reprising his role as the Joker, and you have Kevin Conroy as Batman, and Alan Moore's excellent source material, and this much fan anticipation and a theatrical release because of how excited people are. This should have been so much better than it is. Guys, those are my thoughts on Batman the Killing Joke. I would highly recommend reading the graphic novel. I don't necessarily think you have to run out and see this movie. If you get a chance to see it on Blu-ray at home, that's probably a better place to do it. I'm seeing Jason Bourne later today. Look forward to the continuation and finale of our Jason Bourne skit. Also, I want to give a humongous thank you to Amazon Prime Music for sponsoring this video and supporting my channel. If you go to amazonsongsofsummer.com/Chris, you can listen to the entire Songs of Summer playlist. That's amazonsongsofsummer.com/Chris. Prime Music is a free benefit included with the Prime membership. With Prime Music, you can listen ad-free to over 1 million songs from top artists, and more music is added all the time. You can listen to anywhere on multiple devices like Amazon Echo, Fire devices, iPad, iPhone, Android. Tons of free music there to listen to. It's hot outside, it's summer, it's time to kick back and have some fun listening to some of this great music like the Strumbellas. Summer of '69 is a song that I've always really enjoyed. Definitely check out amazonsongsofsummer.com/Chris. You guys are the best. Thank you so much as always for watching, and thank you to Amazon for sponsoring my videos. It is a big help to me, and I thank you very much for that as well. You guys are the best. Thank you once again, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.